All right, let's jump over and talk about the Detroit Lions and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is going to be a sneaky good game, especially for DFS. I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of exposure to this game in tournaments this week. Should be a very high-scoring game. Now, there is the caveat. We are monitoring the injuries for both DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault. If those guys miss, then take back what I just said. This is going to be a boring game. But if DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault can play this week, very excited about both passing offenses in this one. We got a 54.5 point over-under, which is really good. Lions are favored to win this one on the road by 3, should signal what we're expecting here in terms of the shootout potential. Both of these teams have been really poor at slowing offenses down through the air and on the ground. The Lions are giving up the 10th most points to quarterbacks, the 4th most to running backs, and the 10th most to receivers. Been better against tight ends, but they haven't really faced any good tight ends yet to speak of, whereas the Jaguars have been pretty below average as well. So in terms of a good fantasy matchup, this is what we typically love to keen in on for shootout potential when you got two offenses that are really good playing against two defenses that are really bad. Obviously, Matt Patricia should also be on that list of people fighting for their job alongside Adam Gase. We've already seen 2 coaches already get fired at this point. If I had to tell you before the season started, I would have expected there to be 3 or 4 guys fired before the season is over, and Matt Patricia and Adam Gase are definitely on that list. So if we're expecting him to come out swinging, coming out of the bye week with a healthy team, get Kenny Galladay fully recovered, maybe be able to get Marvin Jones involved eventually, should be a pretty high-scoring game here. In terms of who we're starting, Lions side is pretty easy. We're starting Stafford this week. We're going to keep playing him in good matchups. He hasn't really tanked at this point, even though he hasn't been quite the prolific passer that we were hoping for. Obviously, coming into last year, he was on pace to have one of his best seasons ever before he suffered that back injury. Hasn't come back to that pace quite yet, but overall, he's been pretty consistent at, hovering around that quarterback 10-12 for the past couple weeks. Good matchup here against the Jaguars. We saw Deshaun Watson have a get-right game against them, and I think Matt Stafford does the same thing. Kenny Galladay is a locked-in wide receiver 1 as long as he's healthy. And TJ Hockenson, although not involved as we'd like him to be, still been involved in the red zone, and you're going to be starting him just based on the fact that tight ends, there's not that many good starters out there. I have Marvin Jones in my second guess category, but I do think this is a sneaky start for him this week. The Jaguars have been pretty susceptible to big plays, and Marvin Jones, although he has looked a little washed up to this point, maybe through the bye week, if you need a spot start, you're in a deeper league, someone dropped him, I do think Marvin Jones could have an okay week this week, and if he completely sucks this week, then you can just cut him and forget that he even exists. On the running game side, one of these guys will probably have a good game. Adrian Peterson has been getting the majority of the carries, whereas DeAndre Swift has been more involved in the passing game. In PPR leagues, I'm probably a little more inclined to start DeAndre Swift, even though I think Adrian Peterson will continue to see the goal line work. It's hard to really trust either of these guys, even in a good matchup, but based on your lineup choices and based on how deep your leagues are, you might not have an option. I have these guys ranked just outside my top 24, so do with that as you will. If you have to start one of them, I guess I would go Peterson regardless, even though Swift has more of a ceiling in PPR. I don't trust Kerryon Johnson at all. I'm not starting Danny Amendola or Jesse James. I just don't think their upside is there. On the Jaguars side, I have asterisks here because, again, as we mentioned already, we're monitoring the injury situation for Laviska Shenault and DJ Chark. If both of these guys miss, it's basically just get out of the passing game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not starting Minshew if both of those guys are out. If Chark is out, I'm a little bit more hesitant to start Minshew because we saw what he looked like in that game on Thursday night a few weeks ago when DJ Chark had missed. He looked like he was he sorely missed DJ Chark without having that big body on the outside, luring away the defenders. It was really hard for Gardner Minshew to operate the way that he wanted to in that game. So hopefully DJ Chark plays. If he doesn't, I'm a little bit more hesitant, especially if both he and Shenault don't play. But if everyone's playing, everyone's active, I like all of those options this week. Of course, you're starting James Robinson. Lions are one of the worst rush defenses to every team and every running back with the exception of Kenyon Drake, who sucks. But James Robinson has been absolutely phenomenal up to this point. If you picked him up off waivers, he has definitely been the waiver MVP up to this point. You're going to keep playing him until he gives you a reason to stop. Keelan Cole, if both Shenault and Chark are out and you need like a dart throw, I think Keelan Cole is a decent guy there. He scored a touchdown last week, but overall has definitely been playing third fiddle behind Chark and Shenault. Not starting Conley or Thompson or any of these other guys, even if Shenault and Chark are out. If they're out, I'm just trying to avoid the passing options there on Jacksonville. I got the Lions winning this one 24-17. So obviously I think this one is going to go a little bit below. I think I have my prediction based on the fact that I think Chark will miss time. But if Chark ends up playing this week, you can probably add 7 points to both of these teams. Let's push us closer to the over.